Hello, this is Dave at TitleSearch.com. Today we're going to look at alternatives to foreclosures as a source of investment properties. And one of the best sources is motivated sellers. In this case, it may be something that has a very minor aspect that makes that property unappetizing to buyers. Over the years, I've been involved with dozens and dozens of property purchases, more than $10 million of actual transactions as a buyer and seller. I've never once purchased a property that was an REO or foreclosure property, and all of these transactions had made money. They're all profitable. One of the best return on investments that I can remember was a property that was purchased for $125,000. It was sold within 18 months for $297,000. It was a huge percentage return on investment, and like all the other properties, it was purchased directly from a seller. In this case, it was even an MLS property. It wasn't even a buy owner, but we'll get to that a little bit later. There's a bunch of advantages to buying this way. There are fewer competitors that are bidding up a foreclosure property, and a lot of times these competitors have a perceived understanding that the foreclosure property is always going to be cheaper just because it's a foreclosure. But if you look closely, many standard marketed properties have opportunity for profit, and a lot of times it's because what I call surface ugly on the property, something like a carpet, paint, things that are just on the surface that make that property unappealing. Some of the best properties are ones which have some type of smell or odor, especially a pet smell on a carpet. A typical buyer is going to walk into that property and they're going to turn around and walk right out. Remember, 90% of property buyers that are out looking at these houses are end users. They want a property that's turnkey. They want to walk in the door, put in the furniture, and done deal. Even if that property only takes $3,000 to fix up, most buyers are going to walk away from it because either A, they're not going to recognize the small amount of investment, or B, they don't really want to take the time to do it. They just want a property that's turnkey. They're not interested in messing around with a property, even if they could save a lot of money, that is in not turnkey condition. So that's going to take away 90% of the potential buyers on a property. That other 10% can't buy all of them. Buy owner, like I said before, is a really good source. Those properties don't have the advantage of a realtor suggesting or advising the seller what to do to fix up their house. They may overlook some of the basic things to make that house more appealing and have more curb appeal. Another good source is aged inventory. These are properties that have been in the MLS realtor system for a long time. They may have gone through a couple brokers, and I used to love properties that were in the system for 90 or 120 days and have had 3 brokers, because that's going to tell that the seller is getting frustrated with their selling process, and they may be open to a lower offer. And don't be afraid to work with the sellers to find out what their interests are. A lot of times their interest is not just the money. It may be a transfer at a certain time, a fast closing. It may be being able to stay in the house for a certain time. Some of the reasons these houses stay on the market aren't because of price. It's because contracts fall through. And when the contracts fall through, you want to find out why. Was it the appraisal value? Was it that the closing date was too soon? Sometimes sellers need to stay in the house for some period of time. Sometimes the seller doesn't even like the buyer, and they don't want that buyer in their house. So look for the reasons why this house has been on the market. You may be able to get it real cheap. Look for the things that are easy to add value. I love houses with really bad carpet and really bad paint, because you can fix that really fast and make the house appear $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 better with a very small investment. Also, there's an aspect of looking at the reasons why a house is on the market. Check out the sellers. Was there a divorce? Is there some other aspect of financial distress, a notice of default? Even if it's not on that property, if that person has tax liens against them, that might be a motivating factor to get that person off the jump street to get that property sold. So don't limit your options to just foreclosure properties. Yes, they are in distress, but sometimes the banks that are selling properties, they know more about property values than a seller. A private seller may not be aware of what the potential for that property is, especially if it has some minor fix-ups, a burnt out lawn, even a driveway that needs paving. If you can find something that you can put a few $1,000s in and make the house worth $30,000 or $40,000 more, and it's in what's called the stealth inventory. It's not in that foreclosure inventory that people are hammering on and looking at every single day, especially if it's in a buy owner listing that's not in the MLS. That makes it even more likely that fewer eyes are putting on that property to see what the value might be. So look for those alternatives, see if there's value there, mix it into your strategy of buying properties. Never give up on foreclosures, because that's a good source as well.